Fine. The last session we created accounting calendar and we discussed about currencies whether we have to enable or not. And as a part of yesterday's session, we discussed about geographies where we have to load Nokia data so that the data would be available when you create the addresses by following the country address style. Let's talk about chart of accounts. So we know very well when you record the transaction. When I record any transaction, we have to capture the date and description of the transaction, and we have to capture the amount of the transaction. To handle this date information, to maintain this date information, we have to create the calendar, right? Already that we created accounting calendar. What are the amount you enter within the transaction that need to be addressed with the specific currency? So we discussed in yesterday's session. We no need to enable any currency in the Fusion application. By default, all currencies are enabled. In case of EBS, we should enable. Otherwise, the currency value won't be available to perform the transactions or to create the ledger. Description means we have to write the details of the transaction. The transaction belongs to which company, which department, exactly which activity you are doing, that you can represent with account. Along with that, if you want to capture the transaction belongs to which LOB line of business, or which service line or product line, or which project, whatever the requirement we have to capture very in detail level as per our reporting requirements. Okay, that all you can include as a part of the description. So the description concept we can build within the system with the concept called a chart of accounts. Okay, we know how to create the chart of accounts in the EVS. Same process we have to follow. To create the chart of accounts, what are the steps we have to execute? We'll see now. To create the chart of accounts, first we have to create value sets. Create value sets. After creating the value set, we have to create chart of accounts structure name. Create chart of accounts structure. Just will provide the name. So within that structure, how many segments we require? What are the details you want to capture? Based on that, we can have a segments. Say company segment. Sorry, let's name it as segments. Create segments, and for each segment, if you create the segment as called as company, to maintain all the company values, we require value set, company value set. So the value set which you are creating here, that we have to associate with the respective segment. Assign value set to segment. And we know in EBS, for segments we assign the qualifiers. Which qualifiers? Flex field qualifiers. The same flex field qualifiers in Fusion we call as segment labels. Instead of calling as flex field qualifiers, they given the name as segment labels. Say assign segment labels to segments. Segment labels are nothing but flex field qualifiers in EBS. Okay, in EBS flex field qualifiers, in Fusion we are calling as a segment labels. Assign segment labels to segments. After completing this chart of account structure creation, we have to create chart of account structure instance. Create chart of account structure instance. Here instance is nothing but copy of the chart of account structure. We will discuss when we are working on the system. We'll see and we'll understand. If you have any questions, we'll work on it. Yeah, please. Hello. Okay, not sure. Fine. Create chart of account structure instance. Instance is nothing but copy of the chart of account structure. It is a mandatory we have to create in case of fusion. Anyway, when we are working on the same, when we are creating in the system, we'll see and we'll understand more detail level. For now, just simple point is we'll make a copy of the chart of account structure that only we call as instance. Fine. After completing the chart of account structure instance definition against our chart of account structure, we have to deploy flex field. In which flex field we create the chart of accounts? Accounting flex field. By using the accounting key flex field, the display name Oracle provides as a accounting flex field, reality that is key flex field. So by using the accounting flex field, we create the chart of accounts. The entire accounting flex field we have to deploy. Deployment is equal to compile in EBS. In EBS, we compile specific chart of accounts, but here in Fusion, the entire accounting flex field. When you say entire accounting flex field, within that you can have one or multiple chart of account structures. So all we have to submit for deployment. After completing the deployment, you have to create the segment values. So create segment values. So you should not create the segment values once you create the value sets. If you look at this sequence in EBS, without creating the value sets, you can start creating your chart of account structure. You can create the segments. After creating the segments, you can create the value sets and you can associate with the segments. But in the Fusion, when you create the segment as a part of chart of account structure, value set field is they made as a mandatory. Without providing the value set, you cannot complete the segment definition within the structure. So that is the reason this is a sequence we have to follow in case of Fusion. If you are dealing with the EBS, no issues, you can create value sets after creating the segment. That means you can change the sequence also, create chart of account structure, create segments, then create value sets, then assign value sets to segments. But here it's mandatory. First you have to create the value set. So value set will hold the values for each and every segment. We'll create the structure. Within the structure, we'll list out all the segments. So based on the reporting requirements and all, we create the segments that we know, like how we design the chart of accounts, etc. Same practice, same logic is applicable here also. We assign the value sets to respective segments, and we assign segment labels to segments. Segment label is nothing but flex field qualifiers in EBS. And finally, we have to create chart of account structure instance. Chart of account structure instance is nothing but copy of chart of account structure. It's a mandatory. Why and all, we'll just look into the system. And finally, we have to deploy the flex field. Okay, in case of EBS, we compile the chart of account structure. Here equal to compile, they given the deployment. So here we are not going to deploy specific chart of account structure. Entire flex field we have to deploy. The flex field is nothing but accounting flex field. Within the flex field, how many chart of account structures we have, all will be submitted for deployment. Then finally, we have to create the segment values. We know when you create the segment values in EBS, we assign segment qualifiers to segment values, like allow budgeting, allow posting, account. It could be anything, account type, third party control, account reconcile, depending on the which segment values we are creating. If it's a natural account segment, 5 qualifiers, other segments 2 qualifiers. The same way here, when you create the segment values, we have to assign, okay, value attributes. Value attributes to segment values. Value attributes are nothing but segment qualifiers in EBS. Okay, so this is all about chart of accounts creation. If this is ready, we know we can capture the description of the transaction whenever and wherever you record within the application. Any questions on this, please? Except instance. Don't focus on instance now. We'll see in the system. If you have any questions, we'll discuss. But apart from that, any questions here to understand anything, please? Fine, no questions. We'll see in the system. First, we have to create the.
Lakshman, this is Vijay.
Please.
Hello. Yeah, Miss, here also are we having this cross validation rules and all? In EBS, we have a form where we'll mention the cross validation rules, right? Here also do.
Yeah, the same. We have everything. So same EBS solution only they copied into Fusion. They did some slight changes. Yes, we have all the concepts which you see in EBS. Cross
Okay.
validation rules, security rules, data access set, ledger set, revalidation, translation, consolidation, all we have. But the way how we do the setups, that's slightly different if you compare. And certain rules, what level it works, if you compare with EBS, slightly different. Those points we'll discuss anyway. Yeah, we have. The answer is yes, we have. Fine. Okay. Now we'll go to the instance, and here what we'll do is for our testing purpose. So let's create 2 3 segments. We'll create the chart of accounts with a company and department and account. These three are enough for our testing purpose so that we can select the values and we can perform a transaction. Ready scenario we can execute instead of having a number of segments where all the time we have to enter the values. Let's proceed with these 3 segments. So now if you are going to have these 3 segments, you have to create the 3 value sets. Now we'll go and create 3 value sets, one for company, one for department, other one for account. So go to our implementation project, click on the user. We know this process, right? So the same we have to follow. Click on setup and maintenance to navigate to FSM homepage. We have to navigate to FSM homepage. From there, we have to select manage implementation projects, right? Click on task list. Click on manage implementation projects. You may click on overview so that directly will be navigated to our project. Fine. This is our project which we created. So just click on the project name so that this definition will be open. And what we want to do, we want to create the value sets. The value sets related to chart of accounts. So chart of accounts value sets. Search for the task called as chart of accounts value sets. Chart of accounts value sets. Search. So here is the task. The task name is manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on the task, and again it's the same task. Click on go to task icon. Okay, in Fusion applications, wherever you navigate, related to setups and all, by default they are providing the search area, the search section they are providing. If you want to find out existing records related to the same, you can use this, or else directly the below section you can use to define it. Okay, anyway, we didn't create any value sets. We don't need to search and find. Let's create our own value sets. So in the same page you could see create icon. Click on create. Okay, you know how to create the value sets in EBS, as it is we are going to create here also. So provide the name for value sets. Let's take our company name as a prefix for every definition which we do in the system as a part of configuration. So we're using the name called as ERP1. Create company value set. Value set is company. The same you can copy and paste as a description. Module. So we are not, in case of EBS, we have option to create the value sets within the chart of account structure. Within the chart of account structure, we create the segments within the chart of account structure. Along with the segments, you can create the value sets. That means you are creating the value sets within the structure, means structure we can create within the accounting flex field. Accounting flex field is part of general ledger application. That's how system will understand what are the value sets we are creating for which module. If you are creating the value sets within the chart of account structure, those are definitely for this general ledger application only through accounting key flex field. So, but here we are not creating within the chart of account structure. We are creating outside of the chart of account structure. That is the reason we have to make the system to understand this value set we are creating to use in which application. So that's the reason we have to provide the modular application name. Any, you can just take any name. So here they given the naming convention as a module. Okay, so let's select module as a general ledger. Okay, select module name as a general ledger. Validation type, within this company value set, what are the values we'll be entering? Those values are which values? So let's say independent values, so there won't be any dependence. If you create one company, the company may not depend on other company. So we want to maintain the independent companies. We'll create the values anyway. And value data type, select as a character so that it will allow alphanumeric. So character. And value subtype. Okay, so select as a text so that you can enter any value inside of that as a values. And here you could see security enabled, data security, resource name, etc. This is related to security rules. When we are working on general ledger application, at the time we'll discuss and we'll do the required configuration, we'll be testing. For now you can ignore this section. This is a separate feature. When you're going to work on GL, we'll see this, but just for information, this is what related to SR, security rule related configuration. Fine. So maximum length, what are the companies you enter? For the company code, in how many, what length you want to maintain? Say we want to maintain length of 4. That means the company codes you can enter with max 4 digits. Okay, that's how you have to give the specification within that 4 digits. If you want to specify minimum, maximum, you can enable uppercase only. Zero fill means if you enter one, system will enter 0001. That's how zero filling, etc. Those are anyway not mandatory, let it be. Okay, so this is how you can create the value set. We given the value set code description, that is for which module, general ledger, validation type independent, values data type is character, value subtype text, and maximum length we selected as a 4. This section you can ignore for now. This is related to security rules. Fine, say save and close. So here we discussed one point. What we discussed, after completing all these setups, okay, up to what? Deploy flex field. After completing all these setups, you have to create the segment values. We discussed one point. Why we have to create segment values after completing all these setups? In case of EBS, we can create it. We can create value set immediately. We can enter the values within that, and we can specify the segment qualifiers. Now, why we cannot create? Why we should not create? System will allow you to create, but it will become incomplete definition. What is the reason? See, the reason is, now we created value set. Let's find our value set here. ERP1. Click on search. Okay, just click on search to find out our value set. Yes, this is our value set, ERP1 company. So if you want to create the values, if you want to list out all your company values within this value set, you have to click on manage values. You have to click on manage values. Just click on manage values. So here system selected our value set. Whatever the values you enter here, those all will fall under the same value set. Let's try to create. We are not going to create, just let's give it an attempt. Click on add. The system is opening the field. If you compare, here we have to give the value, here we have to give the description, and the start date, end date for the usage of the value. Those anyway not mandatory. Done. Now tell me, if you compare with EBS, anything is missing when you create the value? Anyone please? If you compare with EBS values definition for chart of accounts, are you finding any difference? Anyone please? It's a very simple point here to discuss. You tell me, like, are you finding any difference?
There is no segment qualifier.
Exactly. No segment qualifiers we are able to see here. What we discuss, the same segment qualifiers we call in the Fusion as a value attributes. That means, of course, you can, by comparing with EBS, you may call a segment qualifiers, but since we are dealing with the Fusion, let's call them as a value attributes. We don't find any value attributes for company segment or any other segment other than account segment. Which segment qualifiers we find? Ideally two segment qualifiers, right? Allow budgeting and allow posting. So we don't see those allow budgeting and allow posting as value attributes here. The reason is this value set is not used in any chart of account structures, and again the chart of account structure is not yet deployed. That is the reason this point we discussed. You have to use that value set in the structure. Finally, against the structure, instance need to be created. Then that once that instance is available in the system as a part of accounting flex field, we have to deploy that accounting flex field. Then the values what you create within the value set can be provisioned to select the qualifiers or as per Fusion value attributes. Okay. Now if you are going to create values within the company, those you cannot treat as a complete definition without specifying the qualifiers or say value attributes. If you are going to create values, no use at all. The same way, if you try to create the values for account segment, you cannot find all those qualifiers: allow budgeting, allow posting, account type, third party control account, reconcile. No qualifier you can see which we call as value attributes in the Fusion. So that is the reason, don't try to create the values, okay, when you create the value set. After creating the value set, don't do it, okay. Anyway, as a part of implementation, we do all these through rapid implementation approach, but we should aware of how to create through manual process also, so that if anything goes wrong, we'll be able to just look into that issues and you can handle. So now we are doing everything through manual process. What we are doing through manual process, how we can automate in the system by using the rapid implementation approach. That means system itself, it will create your accounting calendar, chart of accounts, including all these setups, primary ledger, legal entities, business units, etc. Few other setups or any other setups also, whatever you want to automate in the system in terms of configuration, we can do it by using the rapid implementation concept. We'll see, we'll work on it, but now it's not required. First we'll go through manual process. That automation rapid implementation is very pretty easy task. Done. So this is the reason we are not creating the values now within the any value set. Fine, let's proceed to create other value sets for department and do account. Okay, same task. Click on, go to task icon, click on create. Okay, so here the other value set is ERP1 department. Department value set, take the same as description, select module. Module is general ledger, validation say independent values, value data type is character, subtype is text, and to specify length of department. When you are creating the list of departments, for each department you have to specify the number or say department code that you want to enter in how many digits, say 4 or 2, depends. Okay, then say save and close. We have to create one more value set for account segment. Same process, click on create. ERP1 account. The same you can copy and paste. Select module. Select validation type, independent values. Value data type is character, text. Okay, maximum length. Here also let's proceed with 4 or 5 or 6, because when you talk about accounts, you'll have a large volume of accounts for any company. So you can go with the 4 or else you can take 5, 6. Okay, done. Say save and close. So we created 3 value sets.
Lakshman, just one quick question. The module, we are assigning, value set to a module. So it means that each and every module you have to create a separate value set. We can't share across the modules.
Can be shared just for classification purpose they given. These can be used in other flex fields also.
Okay, specific to each application, right? Yeah.
Yes, this would be available for other flex fields, or even for descriptive flex fields also. These value sets would be available, but just for to classify the value set you are creating for which application purpose, that's how you are giving. Even somewhere you are going to do the setups also, these value sets would be available when you are accessing the values from the value set field. Okay.
So then what is the purpose of this? Just for labeling? That's it?
Yes, just for identification.
There's no control and no validation as such, right?
Exactly, exactly. No control.
Okay. Yeah.
Done. Fine. So we created 3 value sets. Okay, 3 value sets we created. Done. Say save and close. Now what is the next task? Next task is we have to create the chart of account structure. Within that segments, the same value sets we have to assign to respective segments, and labels, assignments, etc. If you see here, those same tasks you can find in the sequence. First we have to create chart of account value sets. It's a mandatory task. After that, what we have to create? Chart of account structures. Means we'll create one structure. As a part of the chart of account structure, we create the segments and we assign the value sets to segments. Those are part of this task only. Within this task only you can perform all those. Here just we written in detail level, that is the reason I written separate as a separate activity is creating the segments, assigning the value sets to segments. After creating the chart of account structure, what we have to do? We have to create the chart of account structure instance. We copy the chart of account structure, we create instance. Instance level only we can maintain the controls. When you create the primary ledger, in case of EBS, we select chart of account structure as a part of primary ledger, but in Fusion, you cannot select chart of account structure. When you create your primary ledger, you have to select the chart of account structure instance as a part of primary ledger, which is created against structure. We'll see those points, but just for information, instance only we can use as a part of primary ledger definition. Okay, in Fusion, chart of account structure will act as a template. Based on one chart of account structure, you can create multiple copies, nothing but instances. We'll see that. Once that is done, once we create the chart of account structure instance, we deploy. After deployment, we'll create the chart of accounts value set values. See, if you can look into these configuration sequence, here also you can find as it is the same sequence they given. So we're done with the value sets. Now we are going to create chart of account structures. Okay, just click on go to task icon. Okay. So in case of EBS, we have a different key flex fields, but here we don't have different key flex field. For GL, we have only one key flex field, that is the accounting flex field. When you are going to find out the key flex field, you don't need to give the name, you don't need to give the module. Since we have only one, directly click on search, system will list out the same. Click on search after navigating to this page. Yes. So within the general ledger application, we have key flex field called as accounting flex field. That's all. Application and module same. In some cases, so application means they'll take actual application name. Module may represent certain part of application functionality. Okay, maybe one application can be classified into different modules also. In some cases, they are taking that approach. Okay, but now by default,
But
application
Lakshman,
modules both are same.
but for other modules, there is pay key flex fields, right?
Sorry,
But for other modules, it will show the key flex fields.
other modules
Yeah,
means
like like if you go to assets or something, like in EBS we used to have those
yeah, those three we have. Those three we have, but here which task we are using?
chart of account
Yeah.
structure. Okay.
Chart of
So it
account
will only
related to GL accounting flex field. That is the reason it's getting displayed. We have a separate tasks.
okay.
Same as EBS, we are
Okay.
not navigating to the same, flex fields and segments task.
Right.
If you go there, that is a common. Just it's all about you have to select the application name, right? Then you can search and find respect to application specific key flex field. But here it's a completely separate task. Okay.
Okay.
That is a common page, common form, okay, right? Common window where you can find out the key flex fields based on your application selection. But here that option we don't have. Okay, it's related to chart of accounts only. Fine. Okay, now we have to create chart of account structure. Here we have a tab called as manage structures. Okay, we have a tab called as manage structures. Click on manage structures to create the chart of account structure. So we are within accounting flex field, we are trying to create the new chart of account structure. If you want to see the existing structures within this accounting flex field, click on search. Just click on search. Here you can find out many chart of account structures. Okay, you can find many chart of account structures, but we know when we are working for our client, we may create one or if required more than one. Once again, we'll just take the same navigation what we are doing. The task which you have to use is manage chart of account structures. Just click on go to task icon. Directly click on search, or else here you can give the flex field name and you can type. You can click on search. Not required. We have only one. You don't need to filter anything. Okay. Within general ledger application, what are the accounting flex field? It's nothing but accounting key flex field. We know display name they are giving as accounting flex field. Reality is the accounting key flex field. So to create the chart of account structure within this accounting flex field, click on manage structures. And if you click on search, it will list out all the chart of account structures which are already created within this accounting flex field. Now we'll go and create our own chart of account structure. To create our own chart of account structure, click on create icon. Just click on create icon. So here you have to provide the code. So we can give the name as ERP1 accounting flex. The same, let's take it as write it as flex field. flex field structure. It's not accepting more than these characters. Let's proceed with the same. Name also same. Okay. And description. Provide description. So delimiter. Okay. Delimiter is nothing but segment separated. Delimiter is nothing but segment separated. In EBS, when you create the chart of account structure, in the structure definition window, you can find segment separated. There, how that within this chart of accounts, what are the segments you are going to create, how those need to be segregated. So the segregation with a dot or which symbol or which icon, just we have to specify with a star or etc. So let's select, it has to be segregated with a dot. So just naming convention they change. There we call as segment separator, here nothing but delimiter. These terminologies and all they taken from the PeopleSoft. The structure, instance creation, etc. Here we discussed. We have to create the instance, etc. Those all they taken from the PeopleSoft product. Fine. We created structure. Okay, we given the name, we given the code, name, description, and we specified the delimiter. Okay, by default the structure is enabled. Now if you want to create the segments, you have to just click on create here, but it's grayed out. What you have to do is, after entering all these details, you have to save it so that this section will be enabled. Click on save. Now you can see this is enabled. Click on create. Okay, here you can provide all these details. What I'm going to do is I want to switch to other browser. It's not responding properly. We created up to structure. We'll switch to other browser. In that browser we'll proceed to create segments. Okay, I'm going to save and close all this. Okay, we'll proceed now. So we created structure. After giving all the details, we have to click on save. Now system will allow us to create the segments. Otherwise, after entering these details, if you don't click on save, this you could see in the grayed out mode only. Okay, fine. Now just click on create. Okay, click on create. Now let's create segments. Segment code is a company. Okay, move to next tab. You don't need to enter anything in the next tab. That is API name. You see the pop-up. Okay, specify a name that identifies the segments in web services, reporting, and other integration points. Okay, fine. And again, Oracle is recommending not to change this name. What happens is, if you are going to create some custom reports and based on some segment, say based on company segments, if you want to prepare some custom reports there, instead of taking the field name as a segment code, take API name. The same way, if you are going to do some third-party integrations or any integration related aspects, if you are going to build inbound interface or outbound interface or any mapping, etc., what Oracle recommends is, instead of using the segment code or segment name, they are just recommending to use API name. That is the purpose they given this additional field. So whenever you enter segment code, automatically that would get defaulted. So this is the name, this field can be used for any mapping purpose. That's what they give it. The web services, okay, as a part of SOA, service oriented architecture. This is one of the options for integrations. Otherwise, when you are doing the custom report development, there you may use this API name for this instead of using the segment code or segment name. And some other integration points, wherever we just use, integration point of view, if you want to use company segment or segment code, instead of that you can use the API name. That is the reason they are giving separate. And take the name, segment name same, company description also same, And segment sequence number, go with 1 2 3, never try with 10 20 30 40 sequence. And we have a bug in almost all the instances. Okay, you should go with the sequence called as 1 2 3 only. Never use sequence as a 10 20 30 40 sequence for segments. Okay, that prompt is nothing but window prompt as per EBS. Whenever you enter the segment value, once you tab out, it will copy the same as a window prompt, which would get displayed for the user when they are entering the values. So display also we require as a company only. We don't need to go with a short name. Short prompt, already company name itself short. You can use the same as a short prompt also. Display width. Display width is nothing but when you create the company values. Okay, when you create the company values, those company values need to be displayed, like the values should display with how many character space, the display space when we are going to enter the values. I'll say 30 character space. Okay, so 30 characters display is required for each company values which we enter. And column name, it's nothing but value set. Here nothing but segment number. Okay, same as EBS. In EBS we have a 30 segments. Yes, the same number you could see in the cloud also. Of course, nobody is using 30 segments, any client even 20 or 15. So like to have a best practice, always we should try to minimize the number of segments usage so that everything will be smooth, right? So we have 30 segments, but we are going to create just first segment here. And default value set code, see now they made it as value set assignment at the time of segment creation as mandatory. Without selecting the value set, you cannot complete the segment creation. Yes, we created value set for company, the same you can select from here. So ERP1. So ERP1 company, select and say okay, so that this value set would get assigned to company segment we assign. Now in EBS we assign flex field qualifiers to segments. So which flex field qualifier we assign to company? Ideally balance and segment flex field qualifier. But in the Fusion, the same flex field qualifiers we are calling as the segment labels. Okay, same flex field qualifiers we are calling as segment labels. Here how many for company we assign balance and segment flex field qualifier. Okay, but in the Fusion they given 3 balancing segment labels. 3 balancing segment labels they given in the Fusion applications. You could see here primary balancing segment, secondary balancing segment, third balancing segment. So we know balancing segment rule, it makes sure that the debit is equal to credit for the same balancing segment values. Okay, if you select company as a balancing segment, for every transaction the debit should be equal to credit until unless you have some intercompany transactions. In the normal case, every transaction should get balanced with the same balancing segment value, nothing but company value. For example, you want to make department also balancing segment. That means in every transaction along with the company, system will make sure that department values also getting balanced in debit and credit side. You want to make line of business also balancing segment. In that case, along with the company and department, it will have a control. It will keep checking whether debit and credit same line of business value are using or not. That's how for 3 segments, 3 segment level you can implement the balancing rule. Okay, primary balancing segment, secondary balancing segment, third balancing segment. If you go with this approach, keeping 2 balancing segments or 3 balancing segment, it may become challenging and complex scenario. As a best practice, generally the recommendation is maintain 1 balancing segment. If there is some requirement or exceptional case, yes, you may use it. But for which segments you are making as a balancing segments, those need to be balanced the same value need to be balanced debit and credit. Okay, in all the scenarios may not be possible, that will become big issue. So now for company, I'm making as a primary balancing segment. Select primary balance segment and say select. I selected primary balancing segment as a selected labels. That means the primary balancing segment is assigned to company, so that whenever you record the transaction with the company segment values, system will make sure that the same value, whatever you are taking debit, that is getting balanced with the credit line also. If those are not getting balanced, you cannot complete and post the transactions. Okay, so any questions here to understand these three balance and segment labels, or as per EBS you may compare these three balance and segment qualifiers, but since we are dealing with the fusion, we should call it as labels. We have three balance and segment labels in fusion applications: primary, secondary and third. Okay, we know as a best practice we use only one balance and segment for one chart of account. If you have any questions on this, please.
So, like, in what scenarios will we be using, like, three balancing segments?
See, the scenarios, it's a very simple. You want to do that everything need to be balanced along with your, see, your companies are different and your line of businesses are different. Okay, say one company only has multiple line of businesses. You have your reporting requirement. See, by mapping the balancing segment FlexFill qualifier in EBS, what you can achieve?
Yeah, debit and credit is equal, like it's balanced basically.
Yeah, because of that, what you can do is the company level you can find out your retained earnings, right?
Yeah.
If you are implementing a translation, if you are doing the translation, the CTA account related balances you can find the company wise. If you are dealing in the with the revaluation, you can find out the realized gain and losses, right? Or on, say, unrealized gain and losses at company level. This all will, not only these many things get balanced. The same thing if you want to apply, you have a requirement of knowing your retained earnings, your LOB level also. In that case, you may make LOB as your secondary balancing segment, but you have to make sure that in every module, in every transaction, the debits and credits are hitting with the same LOB value. Otherwise, the rule will fail. The transaction cannot be allowed to process.
So it's basically more granular level of reporting.
Yes. Other than company level, other levels, if you want to have some tracking of these returned earnings, okay, and other.
Normally, financial institutions go with that kind of setup.
No. Very rarely some you can see here and there, but in most of the cases, even as a best practice, always it's recommended to have only one balancing segment for one chart of.
Okay.
Because see, no company uses 30 segments, right? We know as a best practice we suggest 6 or 7, including or excluding buffer segments, future segments. You may see 7 segments or 8 segments, 9 or 10. If it is exceeding 10, you have to think about it. What's wrong? Why they choose 10 segments? So we know very well we don't use more than 10. Of course, you may see here and there 11, 12 chart of account structures also in the market, right? So, but that won't become best practice. If there is some serious requirement need, we may go with more number of segments. No company uses so far more than 15, or else maybe somebody might have tried, good or bad, but no company uses more than 20. But still, Oracle is allowing us to go with up to 30 segments, the flexibility they are giving. In the same way, they given the choice of using second balancing or third balancing. If somebody is going to use, that may be benefit another way, that may be big headache when they are dealing with all the transactions and balancing, etc., etc. As a best practice, we use one balancing segment. Okay, done.
Okay, so Lakshman, like, so in Fusion we create, like, chart of account instance. So this is actually at the structure level. So we cannot change this at the instance level, right? It will be drilled like will be like same for all the instances, right?
We'll see
Suppose
that
I create two instances of this chart of account.
whether we can change or not. We'll discuss those points after when we are working on instance. Because without seeing that, if you are guessing, you'll be getting more questions even if I answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about this step. Okay, instance we didn't see so far, but to answer your question, no, these won't get defaulted over there. Instance level, you can overwrite the value sets. Okay, this information what you are selecting, those you have to do within the chart of account structure only. Instance level, you cannot manage this information. Yep.
So, Lakshman, what are the scenario we are talking that the secondary and third balancing segment would be used?
Just now I explained.
Yeah, you said primary is primarily used for balancing of the segments, debit line and credit lines at the
What
company
level
level.
you want to have a reporting means what level you want to find out your returned earnings, the profitability, and what level you want to track each and everything for reporting. Ideally, company. Okay, so in other level maybe LOB, line of business. Along with the company line of business level also you want to have track your returned earnings and other balances, and that level also you want to make sure that every transaction accounting is debits and credits are getting balanced. In that case you may use a secondary. Okay, and you have another segment called as, for example, service line. You have a certain requirement where that level also you want to have a profitability tracking, etc. So in that case, for service line also you can just qualify with the third balancing segment. So this is how.
So when we start running the report, especially the trial balances and all, we have to start tracking it at the primary level, secondary level, and third balancing segment level too.
You will
Or
have
the system.
Yeah, you will have that opportunity to do it since you are making these all values. Okay.
Okay.
It's not mandatory 3 levels you have to track because you have, but it will give you the option. It will support you to generate the reports for these 3 levels. But even if you enable this, it is a mandatory you have to balance all the transactions, okay, debits and credits for these 3 segments same. That will become challenge. But when you are preparing the reports, maybe you may take the reporting only for primary balancing segment, or else if you want to take for secondary, yes, you can take it. If you want to take for third, yes, you can take it, or else secondary and third you can ignore, you can take only for primary. It's not mandatory for 3, you have to do it. Okay.
Yeah, so in ideal situation in the Fusion implementation, if they wanted to change a chart of account structure, if they want to change a balancing segment, the best practices are just
Changing we cannot do. Only what we can do is, if we want to make, say for example, we implemented client, we made company as a balancing. In the ongoing process, client may come up with the requirement, we want to use so and so segment, project segment as a secondary balancing. Okay, or so and so other segment we want to make as we want to use as a secondary balancing. Yes, any point of time you can qualify a segment with a respective qualifier as a segment label. Okay, you can use it, but changing and all, it's not recommended. Like once we assign this label to segment inside, in the background it will apply the properties. Let's take simple example. You will assign natural account segment label to which account, which segment?
account, natural account only.
Once you assign, what will happen?
The assignment is its system takes it permanently that national account has been identified for that particular segment.
If I reassign natural account qualifier,
The whole data mapping would be in the mess in terms of qualifying it.
What we could see is, because of natural account segment label or qualifier, 3 additional segment qualifiers will be added to account segment related values. That's what fundamental happens. If I assign natural account segment label to company segment, if I'm creating company values, system will show 5 qualifiers: allow budgeting, allow posting, account type, third party control account, reconcile. Because of natural account segment label, it will add 3 value attributes as per EBS segment qualifiers. Even if you reassign, say by mistake you assign natural account segment label to company value set, company segment, it will apply the properties permanently. Later, even if you change, it will be, whenever you go to company value, it will be asking for 5 labels, 5 attribute selection. So that is the reason we have to be very careful when you are defining. It's not like later you will have a requirement of changing. No.
No, when I try to say when they wanted to change it, so for example, if they're migrating from EBS R12 to EBS R11 to Fusion.
No, one point. It will allow in EBS or Fusion, it will allow. But the background, what are the property system will apply, those cannot be reversed. Now, yeah, please go ahead with your point.
Yeah, what I was trying to make a point is that if they're upgrading, I should not say they're re-implementing it in a Fusion instance, and when they want to bring a change to chart of account structure, would they be able to add these primary balancing
to change
primary, secondary, and third balancing segment?
So if client is moving from EBS to Fusion, again they have to create the chart of accounts in the Fusion. When they are creating, again it's a re-implementation, one sort of fresh implementation only. They cannot bring anything as is from the EBS to Fusion. However, we are creating in the same way they have to create, or else they may use the wrapped implementation sheet. So since the environment is totally new, then they can make the change how they want to implement and all. They can just come up with their additional requirements. Say the client is using EBS, they have only one balancing segment. Now since they are moving to Fusion, again it's redesigning the chart of accounts only. This is a new environment. Here they can go with the 2 balancing or 3 balancing. So there is no connection between the EBS chart of accounts and Fusion chart of accounts. You have to treat EBS as a legacy, Fusion as this current application. That's all. No.
But data conversion would be mess, right? If you do that.
How data conversion will be mess? See, client is using XYZ application. You implemented EBS finance application. Do you think data would be mess?
No. What I'm trying to make it is that existing chart of account. If I'm using a rapid implementation, I need to bring those.
I'll tell you here. As per your EBS chart of accounts, you will bring the data from legacy to EBS, right? As per your EBS chart of accounts, accordingly you will ask the client to provide the data from their legacy. The same way, now when you implement Fusion application, based on how you design the chart of account structure, accordingly the client has to provide the data from EBS to Fusion. If any changes required in between, whenever they are filling the data in the templates, they'll do the required changes and they'll provide finally how it is required in the Fusion application. The conversion of data need to be happen. We are getting the data into EBS application from legacy, means in the legacy we don't have same structure. What are the chart of account structure we have in EBS that they may not have in the previous system, but as per this how the data need to be converted and how it need to be provided, accordingly they'll give it. Here also same applicable. Okay, here how it is required, accordingly they have to provide. It's not like as it is they move from EBS to Fusion. If they want to move, don't do the changes here, follow the same structure what you have in EBS. Hope this is clear. Still any questions, please? Okay, so this is what we have to understand. So we are making the company as a primary balancing segment. Okay, then save and close. We have many other segment labels, we'll see one by one. Now since we are dealing with a company segment, we are talking about balancing. Now just click on create. Again click on create to create one more segment. So department. Just tab out. Sequence. Okay, as we discussed, don't go with the 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3 only. This is second segment. And display width, to display the department names, what is the width we require? So 30 characters width we require, may be required, may not be required. Let's take 30. That open the more space for display. So column name is going to be second segment, because we know like all these segment as a part of chart of accounts, these all are part of the chart of account related table, and within the table each and field is called as a column. That is the reason they're given the name as a column. So segment 2 should have given the segment here, no issues. Column name and assign department value set to department segment. ERP1 search. Select department value set and say okay. Now for department, which qualifier we assign in EBS? Cost center. Okay, cost center, here we are calling as a label. Now we have to assign cost center segment label to department. You know what is the purpose, right? The fixed assets, okay, to just maintain the track the depreciation cost center wise. If you are using expense module, iExpense, okay, to just configure the approvals, etc., cost center wise. So we use cost center FlexFill qualifier in EBS. Same we have to use as a label in the Fusion application. So save and close. Done. We have one more segment which we have to create as we planned, that is account segment. Again click on new. Here this is account. Description sequence is third segment. Prompt account, short prompt also same. Display same, 30 characters display is required. This segment is going to be third segment. ERP1. Account. So that okay, account value set, okay, just we assign. For account, what we have to assign? Natural account segment label. Select and say move. Selected, we assign. Because of this, what happens? Within this value set, within this segment, what are the values you create which will be stored in this value set? So for those values, you will be able to specify the nature. The account nature is expense, or account nature is revenue or asset or liability or ownership or equity. Okay, that nature you can specify. Along with the nature, you can just specify the controls for the value should be available where, it should not be available where. All you can specify with the third party control account, the label or a value attribute as per Fusion. Okay, we assign. So we create the three segments. What we'll do is we'll complete the chart of account definition. We'll create the primary ledger. We'll create one journal. After completing the journal creation, we'll go through the other labels, what we have and what is the purpose. Okay, for now just we used only three labels. The rest of labels, what we have, what is the purpose, we'll discuss at least after creating one journal. Okay, we'll discuss it. Say save and close. So we created chart of account structure. Within that we have three segments. You can click on edit to see. Okay, we have three segments within this. Done. Okay, now we created chart of account structure. We created segments within that. For the 3 segments, we assigned 3 segment value sets, and we assigned segment labels to respective segment. For company, primary balancing; for department, cost center; for account, natural account segment label we assigned. Now against the chart of account structure, we have to create the instance. In Fusion, what they did is, since they taken the solutions from the different applications, but for finance also, max solution they taken from the EBS only, and in the few areas they adapted other ERP logics. So when you talk about chart of accounts also, the structure concept is from the PeopleSoft product. So they introduced that because they got some different reporting, and this has to be synced with the different third-party applications, middleware. Because of many changes, for that convenience, they introduced the instance concept where somewhere technically the logic will work for to run the application. But functional front, there is no great advantage. Why we have to create the instance means simply you may answer it's a mandatory how to create. But there are few points which you have to understand. In some scenarios that can be useful, but that is not a great advantage. But it became mandatory how to create. When you create the primary ledger, you cannot find your chart of account structure. Against the chart of account structure, you have to create the instance only you can find to select at the time of primary ledger or any other SLA related configuration or etc anything. Okay, but we have a flexibility. Against one structure you can create multiple instances. That means you can make a copies, and you can do the changes instance level. That instances you can use wherever you require. We'll talk on that point. First we'll create instance, and we'll take few example where the instance will provide us some additional benefit and what we can do with instance. Okay, let's go to the instance. Same, you can just go with this, you can use this task or you can proceed with this task. The manage chart of account structures and manage chart of account structure instances, these 2 tasks will take us to same page. You can click on this or you can click on this. Both will take us to structure creation page on the same page. You can click on search. By using this tab, we created chart of account structure. Now by using manage structure instances, we can create the instance against the structure. Fine. Just click on manage structure instances. Okay. Click on manage structure instances. Here you can find out all existing instances which are created against existing structures. If you click on search, anyway not required for us. Let's create our own chart of account structure instance. Click on create. Okay, we'll complete this definition and we'll discuss. Okay, any questions? Definitely we'll discuss. But once we complete, we'll get some understanding, then the questions will be less. Fine. Structure instance code. Okay. I think we are in the different. Okay. Better I'll close it. We opened in the different browsers, right? Fine. So what you have to do, you have to click on manage structure instances, then click on create. Just click on create. So for chart of account structure, what name we given? We given the name as ERP1 accounting flex field. This is the name we given for our chart of account structure. For instance, we'll give the name as just flex. So when you create the chart of accounts, when you create the primary ledger, you notice which one you will be able to see. You cannot see with this name. whatever we are going to define, instance only you can see. Instance, let's create with this. Instead of flex field, let's provide the short name as a flex. Okay, I'll take the same name, I'll copy and paste. We are creating the chart of account structure instance. Tab out, it will take the same as the API name. The same purpose when you say API. Okay, don't take the actual logic of API, application programming interface. Okay, which we use as some alternatives of kind of interfaces and all, which is pre-designed packages, etc. Okay, that's totally different. This is specific to field that is related to some process or some record related execution, or etc. Right? So same name, description, etc. In EBS, we know the structure level, you can see all these checkboxes, allow dynamic inserts, right? And shorthand aliases, everything you can enable at chart of account structure level. Now structure will act as a template only. The real definition, real component is chart of account structure instance. That is the reason dynamic combination creation allowed. The naming convention ABS, you can see allow dynamic inserts, but here the naming convention they given as dynamic combination creation allowed, which is equal to that, and shorthand aliases. If you want to create the shorthand aliases, that control also you have to enable at chart of account structure level in EBS, but in the Fusion not at structure level, instance level. These controls also you could see. Now we are trying to create the chart of account structure instance. The instance you want to create against always chart of account structure only. You want to create this chart of account structure instance against which structure? The structure you have to select here. Which is structure? ERP1 accounting flex field. Within this structure, how many segments we have, system will display below. The moment you select, okay, the moment you select any structure, within the structure how many segments we have, it will display. Okay, this is one of the structure which Oracle created as a part of Vision instance. Okay, public sector structure, corporate and country structure. Fine, we created as a ERP1 accounting flex field, select it. So within that we have 3 segments, system is displayed. Now what we have to do is, within this structure, these 3 segments we created, these 3 segments we have to enable it for our instance, otherwise no use of instance. So here we have a required field, okay, required column. No segment is selected as a required, but if you try to select company and account as required, you have a department also. If you don't select department, it doesn't work. Okay, it's not easy as in EBS you will be selecting display, required, etc. right? If you based on that selection the segment will be displayed or else it will become optional, right? That logic doesn't work here. Here it is required means how many segments you have within your chart of account structure, all you should select as required for instance. Otherwise few if you are going to mark as required, few you are going to ignore, that system doesn't support. You have to make all as required because you need 3 segments in the chart of accounts you created. If you want to use the chart of account, you have to create the structure instance. That is the reason you are creating. Again, you don't have choice, you have to enable all as required. So how to enable those as required? First select company segment, click on edit, say required. We'll discuss some other points here. Okay, just as of now just select as required. Okay, select department, click on edit, enable as required, say okay. Select account, click on edit, select as required. So here what are the other fields you see before
Lakshman,
transaction? One second. When I'm speaking, let me please. Once I stop, or just you can raise a question. Yeah, please don't mind. Okay, these fields, the display, BA enable, data type, query, tree, etc. I will explain before we create the transaction. Okay, before we create the transaction. Now, just this is a checkbox we have to enable. Okay, just before creating the transaction itself, we'll discuss. Okay, fine. Or else, just before we complete the primary ledger itself, we'll discuss. For now, this is the point you have to understand here. Okay, or else high level we'll discuss anyway. Fine. This is how you have to enable. Okay, and what is a great advantage at instance level? If you click on edit, you could see if you want to override, system is taking the value set from chart of accounts. Within this chart of accounts, for company segment, what are the value set we created, assigned, that system is defaulting. But instance level, you can override. If you want to select different value set here, you can select. Okay, the same way for all the other segments also you can do it. Okay, and here tree structure is nothing but you can create account hierarchies and parent and child relationships. Those you can select here. For company, okay, which parent and child relationship you want to maintain, that has to be created separate as a separate task, or else when you create by using the wrapped implementation, automatically it will create the tree structure. Tree structure is nothing but parent and child relation. You can select here. Those I'll show you, like system will create, or else manually we can create. Okay, those all we'll see. And just for now, just remember, value set you can override, and these controls also you can set. What is the meaning of each and every control, we'll discuss before we create the transaction, before you complete the primary ledger definition itself. Okay, so just these are the simple points you have to understand, and I'll take you a simple example.
No, value set we
Yeah.
can override means what?
Sorry.
So you said value set we can override means
coming to
what?
that
Like
point.
because
Yeah, I'm
we have
coming to that point. Say we are going to do the implementation in for four countries. Okay, for four countries. For four countries, you want to use. Okay, four countries you want to use same chart of accounts. You may call it as global chart of accounts. In the four, and we have a segments called as company, department, or anything you can take. Company, LOB, line of business, department, account, sorry, this keyboard. Okay, account, so service line, project, future 1, future 2, or etc. etc. Let's take this as a simple example. You have a global chart of accounts, and you have this, or else it may not be just global chart of account. You created only one chart of accounts, just 4 countries required. Okay, now segments are same, and you create a chart of account structure. But if requirement is finally each country you want to maintain different, each country all the value sets may be same, maybe for LOB and service line you want to maintain the different value sets. With a global chart of account, will it be possible or not possible? If you have a global chart of account, same segments, but out of 4 countries, for 2 countries you want to maintain the separate value sets. Will it be possible or not? LOB and service line, for these 2 segments, for 2 countries require different values. Different values. Will it be possible or not? Okay, it is not possible directly. You may just
Yeah, no.
manage those all four countries related company operations. You can maintain the LOB values and service lines in the same value set, and you may implement the rules, secure rules, or if required,
Yeah,
cross validation rules for validation, where for so and so
correct.
value this should not work. Otherwise, there is no other option, right? But here, what you can do is here you can create one chart of accounts. One chart of accounts. You may create 4 instances. Okay, chart of account will remain same. Means the segments will remain same. Okay, segments will remain same, but you will be creating the 4 instances instead of creating everything from the scratch.
Can I not also disable the segments? Suppose in one country I need only 4 segments,
You
in another
should
country I need
select
only
all.
5 segments. Can I do that also?
Select all. That is the point just now we discussed. Here we discussed the same point. Okay, if you are not going to select, the overall structure doesn't work. That's how they designed. Okay, you should select all. You should select all. Now only the option is
Okay.
you can use the same chart of account. You create a one chart of account. You can just against this you create instance. For which segments you want to maintain different value sets, you change it. For 4 countries, you'll create 4 instances. What is the great advantage? Again, you don't need to enter everything as a chart of accounts, giving the name, creating the segments, associating the value sets, and doing the different other settings related to chart of accounts. You don't need to do 4 times. One chart of accounts, simply you can make 4 copies. Only you may just override if something need to be overridden. That's all. So for that
Okay.
purpose only you can use, otherwise frankly speaking there is no great advantage of instance. They made mandatory we are creating. If you don't see such kind of need from your client, okay, even there is no need at all to use your chart of accounts, we have to create the instance. This is only the point we have to understand. So other points here, whatever we have, once you select segment, click on edit, what are the different options we have, that we'll discuss before we complete the primary ledger definition. I'll be covering all this. We'll discuss. Any questions here, please? Don't try to find the advantage of instance. Okay. If you have any questions, please.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So only thing we can do is override value set. That's it.
Yeah, override value set, and we have few other controls also. We'll talk on that. Okay. Other controls also you can maintain. Okay, because they given the instance, that is the reason instance level they are giving. If not instance is not there, they should have given the same option set instance level itself. That's all. Yeah. Anyway, we'll discuss.
Hi, Lakshman.
Please.
This in EBIS, what was it? We didn't have this in EBIS, right?
Sorry?
This is something in Mobile Fusion.
No,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah, so this one instance one, right? The key flex field structure instance. This is we didn't had in EBIS, right?
Yeah,
This
we
is
don't
only
have
in
instance concept, only structure. We create chart of account structure. Okay, then we'll use the chart of account structure at the time of ledger creation. That's all. No concept.
and you used to assign this to the primary ledger and
Yeah, the same
like that,
aspect.
right? So
Select.
this instance gets attached to the primary ledger then?
Yeah, now instance will be assigned to primary ledger, not structure.
Okay.
Correct. Fine. So we're done with this. Once again, I'll just take you through those different options before ledger definition. Okay. Here you can say save and close.
Lakshman, what is the main difference between structure and structure instance?
The main difference is instance only you can use as a part of primary ledger, and whenever you create the instance, everything will be copied from the chart of accounts. You can overwrite the primarily value set and all. You can overwrite everything, segments, value sets, everything will be copied. And instance level you can overwrite, and what are the controls? We have certain controls, right? So those controls are shorthand aliases, allow dynamic inserts, and segment level we have a different attributes. Those all you can control or you can manage at instance level only, not at structure level. That's it. Okay. But managing the labels, etc., you can do only at structure level, not at all instance level. What are the changes you do at structure level related to the labels and all, those would be reflected. The instance will take. But if you do the changes at, say we created chart of account structure and we created instance, right? We created chart of account structure and we created instance. Now if you go on to change value set for company at structure level, that won't reflect in the instance level, because instance level they given the flexibility of changing. So if at all you want to change any value set, okay, for your primary ledger will take the values from the instance only. So you have to change at instance, not at structure level. Clear?
Lakshman, there is any I mean scenarios where they have one structure and multiple instances for the same structure?
Yeah,
because structure is nothing but a template here, right? And we can create a multiple instances of that.
Yeah, now I take
so what are the business?
Simple example, same example, because since the requirement is same segments, instead of creating the 4 structures to create 4 instances, let them create one instance and they can create the 4 instances against the one structure, and as per their requirement they can override the value sets how they required for each country. Okay, so since
I got it.
Since value sets are different, they can do in this way: one structure, 4 instances, and they can manage how it is required and all. And for one instance, they may set as allow dynamic inserts enabled, for other instance not enabled. Okay, that's how they can manage. Fine.
Have you come across any scenarios, I mean, where it is actually implemented, any specifics in business scenarios?
Not at all seen for any client. Okay. So typically just we have to treat as it is a mandatory we have to create. Okay. If you are implementing for 4 countries, yes, we'll be creating 4 instances. If it is going to be global chart of accounts, you are not going to change anything. The same structure will create as a one instance only. The one instance will be using in the 4 countries, 4 ledgers or more than 4 ledgers, which you use across those countries. That's all. Okay.
Thanks, Lakshman.
Yeah. Fine. Typically, there is no great advantage. That's what the instance they made mandatory. We are following. Okay, done. Okay. Any other questions here, please? We created instance also. Okay. Now what you can do is you can click on done, or else you can find if you want to see the instance. Yes, we can see that. So anytime if you want to find your instance and if you want to do some changes, just manage structure instances, search for our instance, click on search. So if you want to do any changes, click on edit. But all the time the changes and all not at all recommended for this. So anything. Anyway, we'll discuss few other points also on this. Okay, so we create an instance. What is the next step? Just click on done. The next step is we have to, after creating the chart of account structure in EBS, we freeze. We enable the checkbox called as freeze flex field definition. Then we'll submit for compile. Compile means what system will do? It will just verify. There is a rule. There is a rule in the chart of accounts. Minimum 2 segments, and you have to use minimum 2 qualifiers. The same is applicable in the fusion also. Now once here we are not going to freeze, we are not going to compile. Freeze option is not available. Directly instead of compiling, you will be deploying. Whenever you submit our chart of account structure for deployment, system will verify. What it will verify, in case of EBS, we select the chart of account structure and will compile. But here in Fusion, we are not going to select any chart of account structure for deployment. We have to deploy entire accounting flex field. So here we have to click on deploy flex field. That means we are submitting accounting flex field for deployment. What system will do is, within this accounting key flex field, how many chart of account structures are there, it will try to validate all. If any one of the structure wrong, it will end with a warning or error, so that the deployment process cannot be completed for your structure also. Say you created structure properly, somebody created with one segment, or else they created, yes, minimum 2 segments required, right? So 2 segments or multiple segments they created, but say they didn't use mandatory segment labels. What are the mandatory segment labels? For company balancing, primary balancing; for account, natural account. Without using these 2 labels, if any chart of account structure is available within this accounting flex field, the deployment process will end with error, and it will throw the error message saying that in so and so structure the label is missing, which is a mandatory. That's how it gives the message. So since we are going to use that instance for practice, multiple people will be working on the same instance. So I request you, if you are creating chart of account structure, you create in the proper way. Don't leave that structure or chart of account structure definition in between, so that will cause issues for others. Even somebody is going to create properly, if you created off in between, if you leave that structure definition, for everyone who is going to create the structure, when they submit this accounting flex field for deployment, they cannot complete the accounting flex field deployment properly. So you are facing the issue with other structure, only the option is you have to go on to correct that structure related information, then only your chart of account structure also can be deployed as we required. Okay, this is the point we have to understand. In EBS, chart of account structure wise you can perform the compile, but here you cannot compile structure wise, only you can do that equal to compile deployment accounting flex field level only. Okay, so this is the point we have to understand. Now here we're at this record, directly you can click on deploy flex field. So here you can see the deployment status. Deployment status is edited. Okay, deployment status is edited. Yes, within this accounting flex field we create a new chart of account structure. That is the reason system is updated as edited. Always we have to make sure that this is completed. So deployed. Okay, just click on deploy flex field. Okay, so in case of client instance, hardly you may just, if you are doing the implementation for one country, ideally we create one chart of account structure. The moment you click on deploy, it will be deployed without taking much time. But these instances are vision undo, we are using for practice purpose. So within these instances, whatever you are using or whatever I am using, there are many chart of account structures within these instances. So it will take little bit more time to complete. Whatever the instance I am using, I think it has not more than 10 instances, 10 chart of account structures. But whatever the instance you are using, I think it got 20 or 30 or more than. So when you submit for deployment, it may take couple of minutes time to complete it. Anyway, it's a one-time task which you perform. So just you have to wait for the completion. Okay, let's wait. If anything wrong with any chart of account which is part of our accounting flex field, system will show that error messages and warnings here. In that case, you can expand this and you can see that information, the detailed information you can see from here on. Okay, 100% is not yet completed. Once it's completed, here it will enable this OK button.
Lakshman, what is 34? What it indicates?
It is running the processes to execute that deployment. Okay, the data information, the total chart of account related structure, chart of account structure related data information, they classified into different entities data. It's some kind of data classification related to chart of account structure that we no need to look into. We never come across with that entity related to that, etc. It's a technical term, you can understand. Okay, done. Now you can see deployment completed successfully. Start a session. of the runtime application to view the changes. It means they're saying proceed. Say OK. Now you can see the deployment status as deployed. Once deployment is done, then you can go and create the segment values. Click on done. So we completed value set definition, and we created structure, segments, we assign value set to segments, we assign segment labels to segments, and we created a chart of account structure instance, and we deployed accounting flex field. Okay, now we have to create segment values. We have to create the segment values. So we know, like, directly in case of EBS, you can go and select the segment. Under that you can enter the values, but here only the option is you have to go to directly value set only. Through value set only you can create the segments. In EBS we have a flexibility. You can select the segments and you can enter the values under segment, or else you can select value set and you can enter. But here only the option is through value set only you can enter the values. By selecting segment you cannot enter anything. No option they given. We'll go and see that. So this is a task we have to use. Manage chart of accounts, value set values. Since our chart of account structure is deployed, when you try to create the value, system will display value attributes, nothing but segment qualifiers in EBS. Click on go to task icon. So search for our value set. We want to create the values in which value set? Say ERP1 company, or else it's already 850. So it requires some time to discuss. Well, better we can create the values in the next session. Okay, within 10 minutes we cannot complete the part. Okay, so this part we'll see in the next session, means in the next weekend. So we're done for today. Any questions, you can stay back, or else you can quit from the meeting. Okay, any questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, I'm not getting the link regularly. Could you please add to the list and send me? Because today also I follow up and with team and I got the link.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. I'll just make a note and I'll make sure that we'll be getting the without any delay for next session.
Even from me, Lakshman.
I'll just what I'll do is till this class, the team members are sending the mails, etc. Meeting links. For few guys, I'm sharing. Okay, from next session onwards, I'll be sharing to everyone. Okay, instead of they'll be sharing from there, and I'll be collecting all your email IDs and I'll be sending to everyone so that there won't be an issue. Okay, you'll be getting on time from next session. Any questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, Dharmishta here.
Yeah.
I know you would be providing a student guide to us, but if you and you also had shown to us what are the ways where we could get the additional documentation. But especially from the integration point of view, where it integrates with other modules, if you want to read up more about it, what would you recommend, or how would you navigate to those documents?
Integration related documents.
Yes.
Okay. Integration.
Like for example, I'm implementing GL, and if I want to know where it integrates, how it integrates, which manual will provide me, the implementation guide or user guide?
Yeah, I got it. I got it. See, that is a completely technical work, and you have to get the SOA related some integration documentation. Okay, I'll just try from my end. Okay, I don't have anything ready because there was no need for me. Okay, if you are looking for that sort of document, just give me some time. I'll try to get from my end, or else at least I'll suggest what you have to do. Okay.
Yeah, please send it to us. Yes.
Sure. I'll be sharing with everyone. I'll be directly placing in the Google Drive itself so that everyone can access. Where they can just download it. Yeah. Give me some time.
Lakshman, can you also
Yep, please. But
you
that
can
is not
also
related
share
to
the Excel sheet
technical,
which you
but
write down on the points.
sorry.
That,
One second. So that's a completely technical related. Okay, but since you required, I'll just try to get it, at least documentation, or else where you can find the source of information. I'll at least let you know. Yeah, please go ahead. I think somebody is asking.
yeah, Lakshman, can you also share the Excel sheet which you usually write down
I'll
on
do that.
the
I'll do that.
it's also very useful, but yeah.
Yeah, along with the today's session video, I'll place this sheet also in the drive itself. Yep,
Okay, thank you.
sure. Thank you. Any questions from anyone, please? Fine. No?
Lakshman, can you share the instance information?
Hemender.
Information.
Hemender, can you be a bit loud,
Yeah.
please?
Can you provide the instance information so I can
Instance I shared yesterday, Hemender. I just shared yesterday evening, I think for you, today morning. You check your email. I shared to your Gmail account.
Okay.
You provided multiple accounts, right? I shared to your,
Right,
Gmail
okay.
ID. Yeah, please check if you see as not received. Let me know. Once again, I'll send, or else we'll work on it.
Okay.
Lakshman, I also didn't receive the instant access.
Yeah, Shankar. Okay, I shared drive access for you. Today only I received your mail ID from this Srikanth. Yesterday he was not available, so I could not send yesterday. I'll do that. Yeah, instance access.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions?
Lakshman, I have a question.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I have gone through this video earlier because I had taken this video.
Okay.
But I didn't, I think I don't remember when I created the values. It doesn't show me when, like, now in my accounts, like, now that written account, assign legal entity to general ledger, something. I could see the values in my value set and everything is there. I don't know what is missing.
Okay. I think when you are creating the values, you might have selected the summary option as yes. That is one case it won't show. If that you created properly means maybe like your value set is not associated at this what I could say instance level. Which value set you are using? What you created, or which like the corporate account?
No, I created myself.
Okay, you created your own value set, and
yes, and I created chart of account and everything. It starts with PRC. I think we are using the same instance.
You should not select summary as yes. Summary is equal to parent. If you select summary as yes, it won't show the values. Please verify. Okay, please verify
summary. Where you are saying showing the summary equal to parent?
Value creation. First we'll give the segment value number, code, then description. Then you will get for every segment value. If you take company, allow budgeting, allow posting, those by default you can find as yes. And summary, there will be next to the same attributes. You can find one more attribute called as summary. Okay. If you set to yes, that system will treat as a parent value. Since value is parent, it won't show for any transaction entry purpose. Verify that.
Like now where, okay, in the value set you want me to check, right?
Exactly. Value set when you are creating the values. Here I'll show you. But anyway, this is not part of session. I'll show you.
Yeah, because I cannot create an account, right? I'm kind of stuck there.
You verify in that specific instance. Okay, still if you have an issue, please share that username and password. Okay, so that I'll look into.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll show you here where you have to verify. For example, if you go to company, select company, click on manage values. By clicking on create, you'll create the values. Now here summary we have, right?
Yeah.
Summary, if you set yes, you don't find this value anywhere. Okay.
Oh, Okay.
That is
Okay.
what we have to verify. Max, that is only the reason. Okay, maybe you are, when you are creating, you might have thought, okay, this you have to value need to be set as yes, and you might have done that. Okay, just check from your end.
And
If you let me know. Yeah, please.
okay, let me check that. And right now I cannot, I don't see any option. Like, no, if I correct, let me first correct this one, maybe we can talk tomorrow.
Sorry?
Next. What I'm saying, right, that lot of disturbance.
Yeah, some others are unmuted. That is the reason. No issues. Please go ahead.
What I was saying is like, let's say I correct that, and I'm thinking like I don't remember, like assign legal entity to general ledger. I think over there, there is a returned account. I think it was there, if I remember.
Yeah, returned earnings.
So it was not showing there, so I could not submit when I submitted that accounting configurator.
Any account, it won't show since you are selecting the value as yes. If you correct it, if you set to
correct
no,
it,
then it will display. That's all.
Okay, then I have to again go to assign legal entity and the same step, right?
The point is for returned earnings account selection, assign legal entity, two are different. So first point is you just change the values for all the values as a no. Okay. Then you can go to ledger options. There you can find your returned earnings and everything. And when you go for assign legal entity also, what are the balances?
Like
one second.
Manage primary.
One second. Yeah, when you are assigning the balance and segment values to legal entity, also you'll get the values. You are facing the issue related to values. You are not able to access the values which you have in the value set. What I'm telling is, you might have selected as yes. If you selected as yes, you set to all values for company, department, account, all the values you set to no. Then wherever you go, whatever you're expecting, it will happen. If that is not the issue, let me know, I'll look into that. That's it. Yeah. So please verify. Still, if you have any issue, let me know. That's all. Fine. So everything I explained in the classes, the previous session videos, whatever you've taken, the points which I'm telling that I clearly explained. At the time of values creation, I was addressing, don't select as yes, then system will treat as parent. If it is if you take as yes, you don't get the values, whatever you are creating. And everywhere, everything we discussed. Maybe just if required, you can go to once again. Otherwise, please test whatever we discussed just now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me retry because I have gone through the procurement video and it was shorter. So yeah, let me check on that.
Lakshman.
I'm sorry, I just kept on mute.
Hello.
Mirja, please.
Yeah. So basically, if we define one chart of account structure, okay. So, if for example we have two chart of account structure or one chart of account structure, for example, 5 segment is there. So in chart of account instance, can we have as a global level 5 for 2 companies and 1 for 4 segment?
No. Ideally, that logic should work, but in our application, what they did is how many segments you have, all you have to select into instance. That's how they give it.
Yeah, same 5 segment means for instance also 5 segments should be there.
Exactly. If you need instance with the 5 segments, create structure with the 5 segments. If you need instance with the 3 segments, create a structure with 3. The same you can copy and you can use. By using one, you cannot extract and you cannot create multiple combination of instances. Yeah. You have to opt all the segments.
Okay.
Yes. Fine. Any other questions?
Even Lakshman, I'm joining this as a weekly, so but actually I want to join as a regular. So for that only I raise a request.
Yeah, you can attend. You can attend multiple batches.
But
no issues.
Okay. So even I need the access for the Google Drive, no?
Yeah. I'll give drive access or instance or access anything. No issues.
Instance access later. I will. Anytime I can take instance access, right? So it is not compulsory that if I start joining, so I need access now.
It's very simple. If you require instance access, yes, we'll provide now. Okay, maybe ideally we provide for 3 months. If at all you require 1 more month, 2 more months, no issues, we'll extend it. Okay, we can do that. Not an issue.
Actually, I need later, not now, after 1 month, because
Even
I'm busy with
now
my.
also we can provide later. Yeah, no issues. Yeah, anytime,
Okay,
anytime.
thanks.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that.
Lakshman, this is Hemendra. I checked
Yeah.
my emails. I don't have the instant access. So when you have a chance, if you can forward me, that would be great.
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Any questions from anyone, please?
Yeah, hi Lakshman, this is Bharat here.
Yeah. Hi, Bharat.
Lakshman, is there any option like switch responsibility in EBS? We can see right quickly whenever we wanted to navigate particular page. So here, how can I do
Yeah.
that? For each and everything, do I need to go to search page or how it is?
No. See, this search page and all related to configuration only. Once you're done with the configuration, once you start working on the application, everything would be available in one page. Here, navigator. If you click on here, your payables, your receivables, your assets, your cash management, or your purchasing, order management, all you can see in one go.
Oh, this is the one page where we can see everything, right?
Everything.
All module configuration.
Yeah, if you compare with EBS, you may treat as all responsibilities.
Okay.
You don't need to switch.
Lakshman, one.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. One more question. It is not related to application.
Okay.
Lakshman, last weekend I have joined this session through my laptop, whatever the link I have received it.
Okay.
So yesterday and today, what happened is when I joined through my laptop, that mute, unmute, complete that option itself grayed out. I can hear you, whatever you are saying. I can see your screen as well. But if I need to ask any questions, I'm not able to ask because of this mute and unmute option. What I did was I've installed this GoToMeeting app in my mobile. Through that, I am asking the question: is there any issue? Can you
No.
come across with any other one?
There is no issue. In that case, the best thing what
Because of the headphones.
No. Do one thing. If that is issue, ideally, it won't happen in that way. If you are facing that issue, install GoToMeeting in your laptop also. Install. You'll get a desktop icon. Okay.
Okay.
Whenever you connect to GoToMeeting link, it will just open the pop-up window. So there you can manage that switching option, mute unmute.
Oh, okay. Like similar to mobile, I have to install that GoToMeeting app in my laptop.
Without that, also in the web browser, also that should work. But you are telling in your case it's not happening. So alternative option is install in your laptop. Then whenever you click on the link, it directly install it takes to web browser environment. It will take you to that desktop that kind of GoToMeeting pop-up.
So it's free, right, Lakshman? No need to subscribe anything for installing that
No.
GoToMeeting app.
No. You just install, and even that is available for free also. If you want to conduct the meetings, you have to pay. Otherwise, not required.
This thing happened. Yeah, can I help you? Because this thing same happened to me. What I did, I went to the Firefox, I copied the link, and then I started. So it is working fine. Same thing happened to me, like what he mentioned.
That's what.
So I resolved that issue.
Bharat is saying browser issue.
Yeah.
Maybe you might be trying with other browser, which maybe not latest version of the browser.
Sure, Lakshman. Maybe till now I have tried with Chrome, so I'll try with Mozilla or some other browser, or else I'll install this app.
Yeah. Please try. That's what Mirja is saying. Even he has same experience. He switched to different Chrome, Mozilla browser.
Firefox, yeah.
Or Firefox.
Mozilla, yeah.
Yeah, even in my iPhone, just now I have installed. It's working absolutely fine.
Okay. Yeah, try with
Mozilla. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, Ajay, please.
Lakshman?
Yeah.
So Lakshman, I have one question.
Please.
Once you freeze the segments, this chart of account structure.
No freeze option. No freeze. We are not freezing. First point.
Hello. Yeah.
Ajay,
so my question is.
We are not freezing the chart of accounts.
No. Once you deploy the yeah, once you created the primary ledgers, once you enter the transaction, once you perform the period close activities, let's say you have a three segment structure, and later on, if the needs comes, like your company asks, like they want two more segments into this structure. So, is there
Ajay, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Yeah, please. So I got your question. The point here is we should not add new segments in between once we start using the chart of accounts. That is the reason, as a part of implementation, what we do, always we suggest buffer segments for the client. So you finalize the 6 segments for client. So you'll be suggesting to the client to have a 2 additional segments as a future 1 and future 2. In future, if they require, they can make use of it. Otherwise, those will be there as a part of chart of account structure ideal. That is the approach we follow. Okay, we should not simply add the segment. System will allow, but it will create many issues. Yeah. Any other questions? Any questions from anyone, please? Okay, seems to no questions. Okay, I'll be sharing this recorded video within 2 to 3 hours. I'll be placing the drive you can access. So when you are working on the instance, if you have any issues, please let us know so that we can fix them. You can proceed. Okay, thank you all. Have a good day and good night.
Lakshman,
Yeah.
Lakshman, I'm sorry. Last question. I mean, you use a Mozilla browser for working with application, right?
Correct.
So what version it supports? It can be anything latest or any preferred version.
Latest version.
Anything. Right? Latest I can use.
Yeah, any previous also it supports, but some functionalities doesn't respond. Always it's suggestible to go with the latest.
Okay. All right. Then. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Any questions from anyone, please? No questions. Okay. So thank you all. Have a good day and good night, and see you in the next weekend. Meantime, in between, if you have any issues, please keep in touch with us so that we can work on those. When you're practicing on the instance, if you have any issues, where if you stuck with something in terms of defining in the system or else instance related issues or any other information required, we'll keep in touch. Okay. Thank you all.
Hello.
Yeah, Amrut.
Yeah. If I need to connect you, I need to drop an email first, and then we'll be having call.
Not required. You are in touch with whom, Amrut, in the team?
Priyanka.
Okay. I'll ask her to connect.
Okay, because I need to connect you directly. What will be the thing?
In general.
Means in the weekend, if I'm practicing something and if I need to connect you on that.
Okay. See, let's do in this way. You are practicing in the weekend, and if you have a simple issue, small issue, you can write an email on this. Okay, you can send email on this if you have a simple question or small issue related to instance you are not able to do something. I'll respond on this. If you have a set of questions, you can write an email to me saying that yes, you have some list of questions to discuss or some concept, etc. Then we'll schedule the call and we'll connect.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Fine.
Hello. Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah. Please.
Can I able to share my screen? Or it's not possible?
Okay. 1 second. Let me stop the recording.